Hi, I'm Grace, and I'm a liar. But before that, please like and subscribe. When I was little, my mom worked for this rich woman who was the third cousin of the daughter of the king of bleep. Oops, I forgot. Mom and I signed an NDA, so I really can't say which country or what king. Anyway, the rich woman had a fabulous life. She and her daughter Gigi, who was my age, lived in a beautiful mansion. They went to the spa every week and on vacation every weekend. But the only thing was that the paparazzi never left them alone. They camped in front of the house and hid in the trees to get a glimpse of Gigi and her mom. Gigi and I looked alike, so I'd often pose as her decoy. I'd walk out the front door in her fancy clothes and smile for the paparazzi, while Gigi snuck out the back into a tinted SUV and sped off. Life was great until Gigi and her mom moved back to bleep, and Mom lost her job. We moved into a tiny house, and Mom had to work 2 jobs just to afford the rent. I hated being poor. It made me sick to my stomach. So I decided I had to be rich one day. I worked harder than ever in school so I could get a good job and make a ton of money. Then one day, I was called into the principal's office, and she gave me the best news ever.
Congratulations, Grace! You've been awarded a scholarship to one of the most prestigious private schools in the city.
I was over the moon, but there was one big problem. My new school was filled with rich kids. There was no way I was gonna fit in. That night, I had nightmares about them laughing at me and chasing me through the halls. The next morning, I woke up and prayed that I could win $1 million. And then the craziest thing happened.
I talked with your Aunt Maddie. She lives near your new school. You'll be staying with her so I can save some money.
I jumped for joy. I just hit the jackpot. Aunt Maddie was a filthy rich lawyer. She was so generous that she'd recently adopted a daughter my age. That evening, Aunt Maddie's chauffeur picked me up in a limousine and drove me to her mansion. My adopted cousin Victoria greeted me at the door. She looked like a supermodel, aside from these huge glasses that were way too big for her face. Victoria took me to my room, and as I was unpacking, she kept staring at my clothes. Whoa, what happened? I've seen homeless people wear better clothes. I was so embarrassed, I started crying like an idiot. They're all I have. I'm poor. Oh, don't worry about it, Grace. I've got your back. You can borrow some of my clothes. I've got plenty. Victoria led me to her room, where she opened a walk-in closet twice the size of my mom's house, filled with dozens of Gucci and Versace dresses, shoes, and handbags. I was in heaven. When we got to school, I strutted like a superstar down the hallway, and all the kids couldn't stop staring at me. In class, the teacher asked us all to introduce ourselves and share something interesting about our families. All the other kids came from wealthy families that owned huge business empires. Some even had parents who were famous celebrities. When the teacher asked me to introduce myself, I walked to the front of the class. I felt really nervous. I couldn't tell them about my poor single mom who worked as a janitor at a beauty salon and waited tables at a 2-star restaurant. Then suddenly, something strange came over me, and the most unexpected words just fell out of my mouth. Hi, everyone. I'm Grace, and I'm an heiress to the throne of bleep.
Due to the privacy of the royal family, we cannot...
Jeez. Can we skip the legal mumbo-jumbo and get back to the story? Now, where was I? Oh yeah, everyone in class stared at me like I was a unicorn. I took out my phone and flashed one of my photos from a magazine, and the kids went wild. Victoria appeared out of nowhere and pulled me to the side. Have you lost your mind? You just told everyone a big fat lie. My mind is right where it's supposed to be, if you must know. Plus, it's not really a lie. You were Gigi's stand-in. My mom told me all about it. You're stealing her identity. I'm just borrowing it. She won't even notice. Victoria walked away. Then a bunch of popular kids ran over to me. My plan was working like a charm. Are you really in line for the throne? Yep. It's a very real possibility. Everyone in line before me is old and sick.
I thought you moved back to Europe.
That's fake news. But aren't you living with Victoria? Yes. My mother wants me to have a more grounded experience among commoners, but it's just temporary. Ta-ta. Sorry, no more questions today. Maybe we can have crumpets and tea later. Then Damien, the most beautiful boy I'd ever seen, patted me on my shoulder, and my heart skipped a beat. His sparkly brown eyes and warm smile made my heart flutter.
Your Highness, would you do me the honor of coming to my party tonight?
He took my hand and kissed it. Yes, please. That night, I raided Victoria's closet and found the perfect dress. I pranced around in the mirror, flashed my prettiest smile, and practiced kissing my hand. What's up with you? I told Victoria all about how Damien invited me to his party, and she looked pissed. Don't you mention that jerk to me. He's not a jerk. He's really cool, and he looks like an angel. Listen, you'll live to regret it if you choose to hang out with that idiot. Are you sure we're talking about the same guy? Damien's at the top of our class. He smells like fresh strawberries. He's super cute and the captain of the football team. He's perfect. Never mind. I'm out of here. Victoria stormed off in a huff, but I didn't have time to figure out what put a bee in her bonnet. I had to get to Damien's party. Of course, Damien's party was awesome. We danced together for hours, and at the end of the night, he gave me the most romantic kiss.
You're amazing, Grace.
I know. People tell me that all the time.
I've never met a girl like you before.
Which made sense because everything I told him was a lie. I must admit, I felt a little guilty for lying, but I wasn't hurting anyone. After that, Damien and I started dating, and we became the hottest couple in school. My popularity was through the roof. Even Victoria stopped shaking her head at me every time we passed each other in the hallway. Life was great until things took a horrible turn. One day, one of the rich kids invited me to an exclusive restaurant. I was busy enjoying my caviar when I looked out the window and saw Victoria and Damien having a heated argument across the street. I was about to go out to snoop on them, but our waiter Brian, this geeky kid from my math class, stepped into my path.
Excuse me, you forgot to pay for your food.
He gave me a bill of over $200. I had less than $20 in my bank account. I was invited to this party.
And we've been told everyone is paying their bill separately.
A couple of popular kids started staring at us, so without thinking, I handed Brian my bank card.
I'm sorry, but your card has been declined.
That's impossible. I'm heir to $1 million fortune.
We also accept cash.
This is no way to treat royalty. I want to speak with your manager now. I dragged Brian to the side, but I was so afraid he was going to call the cops on me that I decided to tell him the truth. Listen, there's no way I can pay all that money. Maybe we can work something out.
You rich kids always try to take advantage of people. Please pay so I can do my job. Aren't you from some royal family anyway?
I'm seriously not a rich kid. That was all a big lie. I just wanted to fit in. Suddenly, tears started streaming down my face.
Oh, geez, please don't cry. Listen, I know what it's like to want to fit in with the rich kids. I'll put it on my tab, but you have to pay me back this month.
I was so relieved. It felt like a huge weight had been lifted. It was good to tell the truth. But then it hit me. If Brian exposed me, my fabulous life would be destroyed. Could you please keep my secret?
Sure, but only if you agree to tutor me. I'm kind of struggling with calculus, and I saw you got 100 on the test.
I happily agreed. By the time I was done with this drama, Victoria and Damien were gone, and neither of them answered their phones. I called my driver to take me home. I waited in my room for hours, but didn't hear a word from either of them. I was confused, worried, and a little jealous. What on earth could they have been arguing about? A few minutes after midnight, I woke up to hear a car pulling into the driveway. I looked out the window. It was Damien, and Victoria was in the passenger seat. I saw red. I raced down the stairs and ran straight into Victoria. Why are you sneaking around with Damien? We aren't sneaking around. I saw you two arguing at the party. It's complicated, and I'm really tired. Can we talk about it later? It's not complicated at all. You're a jealous witch and a boyfriend stealer. And don't try to deny it. You hate that I'm more popular than you and that Damien's in love with me. Victoria marched to her room and slammed her door in my face. Something fishy was going on between those two, and I was gonna find out what. The next day, I asked Damien about Victoria.
Don't worry about it, babe. She's my partner for a school project. We were only talking about that. You know I only have eyes for you.
After that, Damien got really busy with football practice, so I focused on school and tutoring Brian. To my surprise, I enjoyed hanging out with Brian. He was smart and funny, and we were both huge fans of classical music. One night, he played one of Mozart's concertos on the piano for me. That was beautiful. I didn't know you were so talented.
I'm kind of a music prodigy. That's how I got a scholarship to our school.
A couple of weeks later, Brian aced his calculus test and invited me to his piano recital.
I'll be playing that piece you like, and a new song I wrote for you.
You wrote a song for me? Brian blushed, and so did I.
It's a thank you for all you've done for me.
I I wouldn't miss your concert for the world. That night, just as I was getting ready to go to the concert with Brian, Damien showed up in a tuxedo. What are you doing here?
You're funny. I told you I was picking you up.
Oh God, I'd totally forgotten that Damien had invited me to be his date for his family's annual charity ball.
Come on, we don't want to be late.
Damien took my hand and rushed me to his car. When we arrived at the ball, Damien's parents were excited to meet me. They spent the whole night introducing me to all their fancy friends and bragged about how their son had landed the heiress to a throne. I needed a breath of fresh air, so I went out into the back alley for a bit to find Damien and the school's head cheerleader kissing. When they saw me, they turned as white as bed sheets.
It's not what it looks like.
Actually, it is. Damien and I are in love.
I was gonna tell you after the party. I just wanted to impress my parents by saying you were my girlfriend. You're their favorite royal and they've been dying to meet you.
I slapped Damien hard in the face and stormed out of there. The next day, Brian marched up to me at school with a huge scowl.
I waited for you for over an hour and you didn't even call.
I'm sorry. I had another engagement.
Like what? Your fake royal duties? If you didn't want to go, you should have just told me. You didn't have to play with my feelings. I may not be one of the popular kids, but I don't deserve to be treated like trash.
Brian stormed off. I was gutted, and just when I thought the day couldn't get any worse, I got an alert on my phone. A gossip website had done a news report on me and outed me as a fraud. All the kids crowded around me like an angry mob. I ran outside and straight into a bunch of crazy paparazzi. They chased me through the parking lot. I darted down the street and jumped into a cab. Get me out of here, please. The driver hightailed it out of there. When I got home, I raced up the stairs and locked myself in my room. Then suddenly, someone unlocked my bedroom door and turned the knob. Terrified, I hid under the bed. My lies had finally caught up with me. The police would haul me off to jail. My mom would be so embarrassed she'd disown me. The whole thing might even go on my permanent record. I closed my eyes and braced myself for the worst. Please have mercy. I'm just a kid. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Don't be so dramatic. It's just me. I told you all this would blow up in your face. The lying. And most of all, Damien? Was he dating you too? No, gross. Damien and I lived in the same foster home years ago. That night at the restaurant, I got a text about our foster mother. She'd gotten into a bad accident and had to have a major surgery. She'd just woken up and was begging to see me and Damien. That's it. Damien hates that he was poor and he won't tell anyone he's adopted. Or that he and I know each other from a foster home. And he's always trying so hard to impress his snooty parents. You're not that different. He just wants so bad to fit in. That information hit me like a ton of bricks. At that moment, I decided to make a change. I apologized to Victoria and sent Brian a dozen I'm sorry memes. And I came clean to everyone at school. After my truth was revealed, I wasn't popular anymore, of course. I was even mocked and branded as a liar. But I had Victoria, and I eventually made friends with some nice kids. And it took a while, but Brian and I started talking again after I offered to tutor him for free for a year. In the end, I realized that being a popular fake royal didn't hold a candle to being surrounded by friends that loved me for me.
Musical sensation Cameron Cassie has gone bananas. She's turned the stage into a scene from Jumanji.
And if you don't stop talking, I'll turn you into a scene from The Walking Dead. Yep, that's me. Crazy old Cameron. But I wasn't always like this. There was a time when I was the most patient, quietest person around. Want to know what happened? Then stick around. And yeah, like and subscribe to MSA. I grew up in a big family. And by big, I mean I was the oldest one among 10 siblings. You don't believe me? Okay, team, let's go. This is Lana, this is Rose. These are my twin brothers Brad and Pitt. My twin sister Hala and Lala. Another sister Ava, and that's Thanos. Don't ask me why. My parents are huge Avengers fans and they thought this might be a good idea. Of course it's not. You forgot about me. Again. Just like you forgot me in that park last year. I didn't forget you, Liam. You pooped your pants, so I asked you to stay where you were while I looked for an extra pair of diapers. You were the one who ran behind the squirrel. She was cute. And why didn't you just carry an extra pair of diapers? You were 7. You were supposed to be potty trained by then. My parents worked as hospital nurses, so they didn't have a lot of time, and I had to step up and look after the house and my siblings. They also didn't make much money, so whatever little we had was was shared between everyone, and because I was the oldest, I was made to sacrifice the most. I didn't mind that, though. My parents were already working hard enough, so I did what I could to help them out. But sometimes, I wish I could just get a little space of my own, where I could play my guitar in peace. It was a rusty old thing, but I loved it. In this world so big, give me a place oh so tiny, with nobody screaming or acting whiny. Ah! What the heck was that, guys?
Sorry, Pitt started it. No, I didn't. Brad threw his lunch in my face. I didn't throw it at you. I was just throwing it away.
Why?
Because it's tasteless. I want pizza. I want pizza too.
Did someone say pizza? No one's getting pizza. Go inside and finish your veggies or no TV for a whole week. So, yeah, things weren't peachy at home, but school was worse. Between house chores and studies, I had no time to make friends and grew up to be an introvert, which somehow made me the perfect target for bullies like Bailey. We'd been classmates all our lives, but ever since her family struck it rich, she became this mean, hostile person with a personal vendetta against me. It didn't make sense. She was the lead drummer of the school band, really popular, and even had her own YouTube channel where she did covers of famous songs. So I just never understood why she was so obsessed with me. Like this one time in high school, I was casually singing my favorite songs when Bailey barged in. Hi everyone! So in this episode of Off-Key Talents, we have Cameron Cassie. She thinks she sings well, but she sounds like someone stepping on a squeaky toy. Maybe it's because she's always screaming at her horrible siblings. How many are there again? Can you get that off my face? I'm not comfortable, and I don't care. Anyway, I got what I wanted. You can go back to whiny singing now. You're not gonna post that, are you? Bailey just gave me an evil grin and left. I wanted to scream in her face, but I knew she'd only make my life more difficult, so I kept my head low and went on with my day. But the next morning, I was still in bed when my sister Lana came running into my room and told me that the video Bailey posted had gone viral. What? Why would she post that? That's it. I will bite Bailey's head off and then use her hair to mop floors. What are you talking about? People are loving you. You're famous. Lana shoved her phone in my face, and I was shocked to see that she was right. People were calling me inspiring, adorable, amazing, and all sorts of great things. Within a few hours, it had more than 1 million views, and I was famous.
You got pipes, girl. Would love to take you out sometime.
You have the most beautiful voice in the world. Will you sign my pizza?
Sure. Bailey sat in a corner, looking totally humiliated, and it was the best day of my life. I was debating whether to thank her or kill her for posting my video without asking me, when suddenly my phone rang. It was some lady who told me that Tucker Wayne, owner of one of the biggest talent agencies in the world, wanted to see me. Apparently, he was assembling an all-girls band and wanted me as the lead singer. The money was great, and he'd even sent me a first-class ticket to New York for the same night. I was pretty excited, but my parents weren't happy.
Who's gonna look after the house?
Maybe we could hire some help?
Don't be ridiculous, Cameron. We don't have that kind of money. Millions of people go to New York every day because they think they can change their lives. What makes you think you're any different? You'll only become disappointed.
And what if I'm successful? This opportunity could change our lives.
Fine, do what you want, but don't come sulking back to me when you fail at this stupid music thing.
I was hurt that my parents didn't support me, but I knew this was my one chance to turn things around. So I packed my bags and left for New York that night. When I arrived, a limo whisked me away to the most stunning building I'd ever seen. Mr. Tucker greeted me warmly and gave me a tour of the studio. The first day of recording was an absolute blast. Everything seemed to be falling into place until a few days later, I was chilling in my hotel room when the door flung open and Bailey walked in. Ah! Bailey? What are you doing here? Your drummer had to drop out because of personal reasons, so Tucker called me in. Why? What do you mean, why? Because I'm talented, you butt face? Talented in making my life miserable? Ooh, someone grew a tongue while I was away. Relax, that was school, but this is real life. I won't bully my own teammate. You can take my word for it. As soon as Bailey left, I spoke to Tucker, and he confirmed Bailey's story. He asked me if I was okay with it, and I wanted to say no, but Bailey was insanely talented, so I let it slide. But the next day, I regretted every bit of my decision. Not only was Bailey somehow more annoying, she was also really controlling. She gave me notes on my singing and would stop the recording every 2 seconds because she wasn't feeling the music. Then one time, in the middle of a performance, she changed the notes to my solo on the spot. What are you doing? Improvising? No, you're messing up my solo. And what are you gonna do about it? Bailey just left, and at that moment, something snapped inside me. I closed my eyes, focused on the notes, and sang. When I opened my eyes, the crowd stood still, and then they burst into a massive applause. Everyone was chanting my name, and Bailey looked like someone had pulled her kidneys out. From that moment forward, my life was an absolute whirlwind. We were getting more live shows, doing interviews, talk shows, and I was truly famous. I even got the first ever call from my mom, but it wasn't what I expected. Hey, Mom, I'm so glad you called.
Your sister plays the oboe, you know.
Lana? Yeah, I know.
So let her in your band.
But I thought you hated the idea of getting into music.
I do. But Lana will be going to college soon, and playing oboe professionally will look good on her application. Now, will you help her or not?
I wanted to say no. Mom was talking to me after weeks, and I didn't want to disappoint her. So I agreed, and a week later, Lana joined me. But I had no idea how to fit an oboe in the band. And Lana didn't seem too interested either. All she did was sleep or order room service all the time. And I barely had any cash left for myself. To make things worse, we were a month away from the album launch, and I still had a bunch of songs to write. In this world so big.
Stop! This is not working out. We need something edgier.
Could we try a different note?
No! I want more emotion. Was there ever a time when you were angry?
Not that I can recall, but maybe when Bailey posted that video of mine without asking me, or the time she dipped my books into spaghetti sauce, or when she tried to spoil my solo on stage.
Darling, you can't let people walk all over you like that. Stand up for yourself. Dig into that rage and come to me tomorrow with a new song.
I spent the entire night replaying the conversation with Mr. Tucker, and when I calmed down, I realized he was right. I was a pushover. Bailey had tormented me for years, and I'd never stood up for myself. My own parents had treated me like a pushover, but not once did they pay attention to what I wanted. And when I finally did something for myself, they tried to snuff that spark out too. Heavy with rage, I picked up the phone and dialed in. Bailey? Yeah, you're out. You're a bully, and no bullies are allowed in my band. And I cut the call before she had a chance to scream. On a high, I called my mom next. Hey, Mom, Lana doesn't want to be here, and oboe doesn't make sense in this band. I'm sending her home. Finally! I couldn't believe I just stood up to my mom, and to be honest, I felt pretty proud of myself. The next day, I walked up to Mr. Tucker and told him the conversation I had with Bailey. I thought he'd be mad, but instead, he smiled.
Good for you, darling. And don't worry, we'll find a new drummer. Let me hear that new song.
I poured my heart into my song, and Mr. Tucker was so impressed, he sent it straight for recording. He even set up auditions, and within no time, we had a new drummer in our band. A week later, when the song was released, it got more popular than all our live shows combined. We rose to the top of every chart, got invitations to every celebrity show, and Mr. Tucker even extended my contract. I was making more money than ever, and life was pretty good. But the more I leaned into my emotions, the angrier I got, and pretty soon, I was lashing out at everyone. I ordered this salad with ranch. This is blue cheese. What are you doing? Trying to make me fat?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I forgot.
Did you forget to brush your teeth? Did you forget to take a bath? Did you forget to sleep? No? Then how can you forget to follow simple instructions? The waiter ran away crying, and I felt a bit bad. But with the amount of money I was spending, I deserved better service. But the next day, I was making waves on social media for being rude and mean. Apparently, someone from the restaurant posted a video of me screaming at the waiter, and now everyone was out there to get me, including the paparazzi.
Have you always been this spoiled, or has success gotten to your head?
Have you always been this stupid, or did you fall on your way here and damage your brain?
That's inappropriate.
Your face is inappropriate, Jane. You are a terrible interviewer. You should switch jobs because I don't think this one's gonna last that long. I was mad with power, and no matter how much people called me out for it, I just didn't care. I partied like there was no tomorrow, shopped like a crazy person. I was finally living my life the way I wanted to. I didn't even care about showing up at work, and my bandmates tried to warn me, but I was the star of the show. No one would replace me. I thought I was untouchable, until one day, I walked into the studio and saw Bailey in the recording room. What is she doing here?
Oh no, this is awkward. I was gonna tell you, but you're off the band, Cameron.
Since when and why?
Because you're a loose cannon, and I can't let you tarnish my reputation anymore.
But I did what you asked me to do, and now you're kicking me out? I'm the star of the band. You can't replace me.
Honey, everyone is replaceable in showbiz. Now, bye-bye. Have a nice life.
I was stunned. Just like Bailey and my mom, Tucker had manipulated and used me. I felt betrayed, but I had no time to sulk. I wanted to show these suckers what I was made of. So I tapped into my network to find a new label, but no one was ready to take me on, thanks to my negative image. And while I struggled to find work, Bailey rose to fame. She was having her first ever solo concert, and it was completely sold out. I couldn't let her win this time, so I crashed her concert, sneaked my way to the stage, and right before Bailey was about to sit down for her performance, I pushed her away. What are you doing? Stealing your thunder, just like you stole mine for years. Cameron's back, baby! I kicked over her drums, and in a moment of pure rage, I grabbed the guitar and smashed it to pieces. Some of the things went flying into the crowd, and everyone started panicking. The show was canceled, security was called in, and I was thrown out of the venue. Tucker even threw me out of the hotel, and thanks to my crazy party expenses, I couldn't afford another place. Eventually, I had to move back home, but I was so messed up in the head, I hardly ever came out of my room. All day, I would watch TV and see Bailey's rise to fame, and it only made me realize the things I'd lost. Then one day, I was sitting in my room when Mom walked in. You know you can't stay cooped up in here all day, right? I don't know what else to do. It's not like anyone needs me anymore. That's not true, Cameron. I was angry at you for moving out and then sending Lana back home. Then I realized that we'd been really tough on you. You were just a teenager, and you deserved to have a life of your own. So you're not angry at me now? Of course not, sweetie. We love you. We always will. My mom hugged me tight, and I felt better than I had in days. With my family by my side, I slowly started picking up my life again. I got back to music and even joined my old high school again. I had to repeat a year, but that was okay. At least I had something to look forward to. One day, while playing in the backyard, one of my sisters recorded a video of me and posted it on YouTube. It went viral again. People were amazed by my transformation and started requesting my old songs. So I played them. Soon, I started getting calls from agencies. One of them asked me if I could perform my singles at their show. The pay was good, the venue was close to home, so I agreed. As I got ready backstage, someone tapped on my shoulder. Mr. Tucker.
Great to see you, kid. You've been doing well. Ever thought about coming back?
Aren't you working with Bailey now?
Yes, but she's boring. You're so much better. I will double your pay if you want. Think about it.
As tempting as it was, there was one thing I'd learned in my time in New York. Never let anyone walk over you. So I immediately called Bailey and gave her a rundown of what had happened. Why should I believe you? Because Tucker is a manipulative worm, and I don't want him to ruin your career like you ruined mine. You don't have to believe me, but just watch your back. Wait, thanks for letting me know. It's no excuse, but I'm an only child, you know? And my parents put this insane amount of pressure on me, and your family just seems so big and fun, and I was just jealous. Life's not always as it seems, but we can be a bit kinder to each other. Anyway, I'm glad we had this talk. Same, you know, I really did like your new album. Bailey and I never stayed in touch after that, but I heard she quit and started her own band. As for me, I'm still singing in the backyard and making my own music. That's the best kind.